I think I would try to simplify as much as possible, but at any point of time, if you get stuck to anything, please raise your hand. And it is because if I understand that there are many CXOs in this group. If not, you could be also reaching out to your CXO for any kind of investment, right? You need to explain them in simple language. That's why we'll try to do our best. So before we start, a brief background about myself. I lead digital strategy for Mindshare Group in Vietnam, and Mindshare is part of phuong.pham, and phuong.pham is the largest media investment and management company in the world. In Vietnam, we roughly manage 40% of the total media budget. And working for Mindshare Group and the larger WPP network, I have the opportunity to work across a different range of clients, and each of those clients had different perspective about data. And when we asked them, what data-driven marketing means to your business, each of them could kind of give different answer. And that is because they would have different expectation from data. What data could mean to them? What is their expectation? What is the value they are seeking out of that? Okay, and for that, I just wanted to double click what data essentially means. So, in my early school books in computer science, there was a definition of data, which meant any information. And somehow, that definition stuck to me for a long time. And for the time being, let me use that as a running definition for today's context, right? So, data-driven marketing is essentially any information-driven marketing. And what is this any information? Let's try to contextualize that in today's environment. And if you're a marketer, you could be using your customers' information. And the information could be about their, say, age, their gender, their life stage, where do they reside. So there are all of this information. On top of that, you could be utilizing information about their need, want, desire, what is their purchase behavior, what is their media consumption behavior, what is their lifestyle, what is their attitude, all of those. In addition to that, you also could be looking at any external triggers, right? Because many of the categories, there are external triggers like weather and pollution. They influence the decision making for those categories. And we could look at data as another representation of those signals as well. On top of that, data also could be how consumers could interact with your product or the category. And if you have any website or app, how they are interacting with the different component of your website. And whenever they are doing anything, you are collecting information. And those information you could be utilizing in shaping of your marketing strategy. So, and all these definitions are not finite. There could be infinite more definition. And if we club all of this together, and you'll see, you'll try to segregate them, you'll see some of this information are about the audience, and some of the information are about the larger data point, which could be about non-audience aspect of the data. So let's for a moment, we should look at the audience aspect of the data. What are the different kind of data that we normally see in the market? You might heard about first party data, right? What is first party data? In simple language, you own the data. Because you own the data, you are in full control of the data. It could be about audience, it could also be about any other aspect of the audience's information. The second category is second party. Here, you don't own it. One of your partner owns the data. And you might have a transactional relationship with the partner. There could be a value exchange between you and the partner. But at the same time, the partner kind of control and dictates how much could be shared with you, how much you could be using. If you are a bank, then think it like this. You are partnering with an airline to promote a credit card. You could be sending out an emailer to the airline's customer base, but you don't have access to their base, but you are partnering with them. So you are using their data. If you are using any kind of media inventory partner, then you are buying inventory from them. And in exchange, you could be utilizing some of the audience segments they could be sharing with you. So there is value exchange happening. On top of that, there is third-party data. Somebody else owns the information, neither you or not your partner. And you are only making use of that. You are buying it or renting it, but you are making use of it. So if on top of all these three, nowadays there is a new definition called zero-party data. Essentially, nobody owns that information, and consumer at their own will, they have provided their information to some entity, right? And it could be initiated by anybody, but it is zero-party. Nobody owns that data. So, on top of this, you might be thinking that there are lots of talk about cookieless world. In the cookieless world, we cannot do any data-driven marketing. We have to be prepared for the future, etc. So, in one line, you have to understand what does it mean to you. First of all, it is not cookieless world. It is third-party cookieless world. Your first-party cookie will be still be there with you. And cookie, those who are not familiar with the term, it is essentially, think it like a small software code, which any website puts on your browser, the user's browser. So that whenever they are browsing the larger ecosystem, it will kind of shape their behavior, right? So it is only banning the third-party cookie. You still have the access to the first-party cookie. But what is the net takeaway? We are just interested in the net takeaway. That means you were interested in, you are dependent on somebody else to provide you the data to power your marketing, right? But they cannot do it. They cannot do it because the Googles of the world, the Safaris of the world, the Apples of the world, they have made development changes. And as a result of that, you have to do it. Stop being dependent on other, provide you information about your customer. You have to collect that information yourself. That is the net takeaway. And if you like to understand what is so much noise about data, that's because data is being called as a new oil. What does that mean? If you look at in the 18th century, oil was driving the economy of that era, right? So people who had the skill set to extract the oil, make use of it, they prospered. Any country or organization or company. And similar to that, data will be playing a similar role in the coming years. Now, if that is going to happen, if data is going to be the new oil, then people who will benefit from it, people who would have the access to retrieve data, who have the access to process data and make value out of it. You need to develop the skill set. You need to develop that infrastructure. Because without that infrastructure, how can you mine the oil for yourself? So, before asking what kind of infrastructure do I need, you need to ask yourself, and at an organizational level, you need to debate what is our priority? What do we need to do? Because priority could vary by company to company, category to category, and at the stage of your maturity in this field, right? So you decide what is your priority. So I would try to contextualize some of the priorities that could have. Example, if any organization would like to do marketing in real time, they would like to make customized offers to their customers or more targeted content, etc. At the same time, their priority is how they can make personalization better. And to do that, they need a platform that offers engagement better, that enables engagement or enables customer experience. On the other hand, think it like another need case. You need to understand who are the low-hanging fruits, who could be a new customer, right? Or you could like to understand the lifetime value of your existing customer or the return of investment. On those cases, what you need to do you need to basically access to insights from a customer perspective at a user level data. And your need is essentially analytics. So think of what is priority to you. Accordingly, you can invest or prioritize what kind of feature of your infrastructure would benefit to you. On top of that, if you think I need to do it in a little more automated manner, then maybe automation is the feature that will seek out of your infrastructure. And there are much more use cases. Example, you can use it for audience segmentation or shopper targeting. You can use it for audience insight mining, personalization, etc. On top of that, there is some other aspect, which is the key characteristics of first-party data marketing, right? So on the right-hand side, whatever you see, those are the less explored aspect of first-party data that we see today's world. Because normally we are kind of used to how we can do personalization better, right? Or how we can do targeting better. But we are not thinking of how to orchestrate our customer journey better, or how to identify the right attribution for each of the channels. So these are the other use cases. If those are all the use cases, how can you collect first-party data at the first place? There are several opportunities for you. I'll list down few. Event-based tracking, right? So if you have an app or a website, whenever consumer comes to your platform, they leave footprint. And those footprints could be captured. And those captured footprints provide you meaningful information about the consumer's behavior. And that is essentially event-based tracking. And through event-based tracking, you can get useful information about the customer. Second is registration. If you are using a lead gen form or equivalent, and you can ask if customer is signing up for a brochure, or example, for the automobile industry, for a test drive, stuff like that will help you to acquire the first party data about the customer. Then distribution of content. You could be exploring who could be similar customer, who could be interested in my products or services. So example, newsletter is one of the interesting example where if you get newsletter for somebody, you try to do a sign up so that you can get similar content in feed. Right? Surveys and polls, other tools where you can capture consumer data. On top of that, single sign-on, right? You could be using a Google sign-on or Facebook sign-on, which can help you capture consumer data on your platform, on your network of platforms. On top of that, you can use gamification, you can use loyalty scheme. In fact, point of sales is one of the most rich source of data. However, it is the most unused or underutilized source of data. How can you start making use of that? Then product sampling. You could be giving a sample at wet market or a modern trade or a general trade. How can you start making use of those information wherever you begin sampling? And cookies and device ID I spoke about. In fact, I spoke about cookie, not device ID. Similar to cookie, think of device ID as an identifier of your user behavior through your mobile phone, right? And on top of that, there could be progressive collection. What progressive collection means, all of this you should not be thinking like a one-time exercise. What you need to do is think of collecting information on the go as you progress so that you have much more richer information about your customer, about your first party data, right? And as I said, first party data is that you own and you make use. So if those are the different ways you can collect first party data, what could be some of the popular infrastructure? Right. This list is not exhaustive, but more or less they're primarily in use. In the earlier world, customer relationship management platform or CRM, they used to capture consumer information primarily in the shape of email ID, and a phone number, right? And they have been using, they are get used to communicate or make it, use as a contact program for the customer, right? You can use that to orchestrate your consumer journey. You can do that in a much more automated fashion. However, the need has evolved. The typical CRM platform, they could not meet the need of the market. So another kind of platform called data management platform or DMP evolved, where essentially they merge the different data points, the first party, second party, and third party data to create consumer segments. They help you to create consumer segment so that you can reach out to your audiences with a much more targeted communication. Normally, media and advertising got benefited from usage of DMP. However, DMP did not solve all the problems because of the, not only because of the cookieless mode, but we had limited information about our own customer. And that's why the evolution of the customer data factory, or the so-called CDP. In fact, later in the day, you will get some more deep dive on what it's all about. But at a nutshell, you can understand that it will try to stitch together various attributes, various information with a unique identifier for a customer, so that you have a holistic view of the customer. No, not only about the customers personally, I will have information, but wherever they are doing, whatever they are doing, if they are making any purchase or if they are browsing inside, all those, wherever there is information possible, it will try to attach itself with the customer, so that you have much more richer information that you can make use of. Now, just to give a context, right? First party data could be used by different platforms also, but there is advantage and disadvantage. Example, customer data platform, they primarily handle the known audience of the first party data. While the data management platform or some of the media acquisition platform, they can also handle first party data, but in a limited manner. In fact, if you look at data management platform, they will try to explore the unexplored universe. While your customer data platform, it will try to control and enhances your existing known universe. And because it will try to create a holistic customer graph with the audience as an identifier, it is much more robust way of collecting and accumulating first party data. So, while all these platforms are evolving and more tech players are coming, and we'll see some of them in the panel today, there is one challenge. The challenge is, 10 years back, the ecosystem was like this. There are 150 odd marketing technology platforms in the world. So it was a very tough task to kind of assess which platform meets your requirement or not. But that was 10 years ago. If you look at this, the ecosystem has been like this. There are 10,000 odd platforms. Now, even if you start collecting information, which platforms start, which giving what kind of services or products, time will end, the platform will not end, right? And what will happen? More and more platforms are coming. So organization, while your organization will move at a pace, the industry is moving at a much faster pace. So my recommendation to you would be, adopt something, learn and evolve, because the world will be a perpetual beta. You'll never get a perfect solution. Make use of whatever is accessible to you and start small. And there is a benefit in starting small, right? Because today's platform, they provide a modular approach. You can start with small, then as and when your requirement evolves, you can add in more functionality. And because many of them provide software as a service model, hence you could be very sure of, if you are not using something, maybe you are not over investing behind the technology, or you are not building you are not renting an elephant if you just need a pet. So But at the same time, other critical aspect is you need to be sure what is your organizational need. You need to have internal alignment with your stakeholders, and you need to translate that to your partner, whichever partner you are talking about, so that they get your business context, so that they can kind of make use of that to provide you the right solution. There is a huge opportunity of communication gap arising here and frustration arising because people will invest in something and they will not know how to make use of that. So I would recommend some modular approach to this, and here are some building blocks, right? The first stage is about creating your data infrastructure, creating an audience identity infrastructure. That is the first element. Once you do that, you can think about building data diversity. How you can, you can build data by design. What that means is, you need to think of what kind of data you can output today. Because your today's output would be controlling tomorrow's input. If you only get bogged down by what kind of data that is available today, then you will not be futuristic. So think about how you are creating any kind of plan so that is generating data rather than using data. Because today's output is tomorrow's input. And on top of that, data diversity, as and when more and more platform comes in, right? More and more media platform, each of them having their silos nature, you need to have as many attributes about your customer as you can. So try to enrich your data as much as you can, and for that there are services. There are services about cleaning room, right? You can, in a controlled manner, without risking your own data, you can consider about enriching your own first-party data. On top of that, never undermine the role of data ethics, because it is very critical in today's world. We take consumer consent at every stage, and having a proper data safeguarding policy, having a compliance with the local regulatory, I think those are critical for you to invest in your data infrastructure as much as which infrastructure you are utilizing. And finally, the usage of data is about making use of data science in a democratized manner, so that you can make, because today's platform, they will allow you to use technology like AI to use predictive modeling in a little drag and drop kind of a format, right? So you need not build a in-house specialist team only for data science, but there could be accessible to a little wider set of audiences, so that start making use of all these platforms and tools. And net, the summary of what I said, start thinking about what you want as a business, what is the priority, define that, think of what all method you can collect the different data sets, first party data particularly, have a proper process, think of how you can store the data, have a proper onboarding, transferring, uploading facility, think about data ethics, think about how you can maximize the usage of media platform or your media activity to accentuate and to augment your data. And finally, think of a long-term strategy. Think of what are the measurement, what are the need gap, and accordingly take modular steps. Yeah. And what you need to think of is how you can future-proof your business with all those mitigation results. The only differentiation that you can make for yourself is how you are operating differently from the others, right? Because all the marketers in this room could have a similar problem, but how you are approaching it, that makes the difference between you and the rest. And with that, I rest my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm around in this room, or you can ask to any of the partners who are with us today. Thank you so much.